Bad news for Terrence Crawford. It is official. Errol Spence versus Ugas. A great fight for unification. Where does this leave Terrence Crawford? I'm going to talk about that and more in this video. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Breaking news. I already made a video about it, but Spence Ugas is the next order of business. Ugas has been calling out Crawford. At one point was a mandatory, now a champion in beating Pacquiao. Ugas says, hashtag Spence Ugas. I've asked for this fight for 4 years, and he is the only fighter I've called to fight in my career. So he says he don't do a bunch of call outs, but Errol Spence is the guy he's called out. He comes in the best moment of our careers, so it's for 3 belts. So unification. In 2022, it's the year I have to become undisputed at 147. So Ugas is saying it's a dream come true. And he also says, hashtag Spence Ugas, special thanks to the WBA for doing the right thing. It is an award for my dedication and for being a brave man in and out of the ring. I'll be fighting one of the best pound for pound, Errol Spence. I'm a warrior. First Cuban fighting, first for 3 belts in one night. Thanks to all the fans who asked for this fight. Boom. Now, Errol Spence, he did pretty much confirm the news as well. Errol Spence on his page. Let's click on it. Pull up his stories. Make sure you smash the like button. That's his son. They said people will walk over the gloves before they pick up the mitts. Look, Spence Ugas, you see it. Boom, we got action. Right? Now it's ESPN reporting it. Errol Spence also posted this, showing Errol Spence Ugas. You guys see it. You guys get the picture. Errol Spence posted a series of pictures with his family. One picture, he was throwing the middle finger. His son's cute. Shows him working in the gym. Shows him with his beautiful family. And then he put these middle fingers. So I think that's to Terrence Crawford. More on that later. Now, in case you needed more proof of this, Stanionis, who a lot of people thought was going to be a distraction and prevent the fight from happening, he says, you are welcome, because he had to step aside to allow for this fight to happen. Listen, I told you guys, anybody who would listen, that this was coming, and y'all didn't believe me. When the WBA said that Ugas had to fight Stanionis, I told you he would step aside, and you see him saying, you're welcome. Many people thought I was hating on Crawford or whatever. I don't work like that on my channel. And now we come to find out what I said past. Ego Stradamus strikes again. Meanwhile, Crawford's team, his sister, she said the WBA, this is when the WBA announced that Ugas had to fight Stanionis, which I told you the opposite. I told you it wasn't going to happen. Errol's fighting Ugas. Crawford's sister said the WBA said, forget that, we want Crawford versus Spence. Fighter Jamel Herring says they definitely didn't budge or listen to anyone's demands. This was on December 8th, and it's about December 19th. So 11 days ago, this is what people were thinking. They were thinking that Crawford and Spence was going to happen next. Crawford's sister says, STG, we want to see the fight like everyone else. So when the WBO ordered that Stanionis, and I try to explain to y'all the business and how this works, a lot of people were on the same vibes as Jamel Herring and Terrence Crawford's sister in thinking that Errol Spence was cornered and the next fight had to be Crawford. But as you see, as I've showed you, that's not the case. Instead, Spence Ugas. Now, Ugas is ranked with BoxRec. He just beat and retired a legend and Manny Pacquiao. So it is a great and amazing fight, and it's an easy fight to facilitate. So Errol Spence is the big fish, like he's been saying, and he's gotten what he wanted. A chance for a big event. He said no tune-ups. Like, listen, How can I be mad at Errol Spence and his team, and they have done everything they said they were going to do? Errol said, hey, start that cat, man down. I'm just going to clean up my side. I'm going to clean up my side of the street. That's what he's doing. Errol Spence is on his side of the street. Here's another example, should you need more examples, from the GOAT, Boxingego. Errol Spence pulled out of the Pacquiao fight for obvious reasons. He had a retinal tear, and he was unable to, fight Pacquiao. He says immediately after it was known that he couldn't fight Pacquiao, I came back from worse. Well, I went to 3 doctors and they all said the same thing. I'll be back for the winner of Pacquiao Ugas for sure. I was taught to get through it and keep going. Errol Spence on Twitter after injury news. So guess what? Once again, Errol Spence is being congruent as a man with what he said. Errol Spence, August 10th, told you, hey, this is an unfortunate setback, but I've been through worse. So even though it's discouraging that I got this eye injury that requires surgery, as you see right there, even though that's the case, at the end of the day, I've been through worse. Probably the car accident and maybe other things, right? I've been through worse. So even though I had this setback and I don't get the Pacquiao paycheck, I'm coming back for the winner. I just showed you the quote. This is exactly what Errol Spence said. I am coming back for the winner. How do you want me, a boxing personality and YouTuber, to be mad at Errol Spence and his team for fulfilling the prophecies and what they've said? After the Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, PBC had like a post-fight press conference. I was there in New York. Errol Spence had like a blue compression long sleeve on. And he said, I'm gonna clean up my side of the street. Terrence Crawford, he could do whatever he's doing. And, then we can make it shake. Errol Spence is doing that. It's Terrence Crawford and his team that haven't been able to fulfill some of the things that they said. They said they called out Keith Thurman, haven't got that fight. Called out Danny Garcia, couldn't get that fight. Said he was gonna fight Pacquiao in Abu Dhabi and in Dubai or wherever, Abu Dhabi and Qatar. Terrence Crawford's team said, oh, just wait, we should have an announcement. Fight was never announced. Bob Arum said we ran out of money, or the CDC said we couldn't fight Pacquiao. But Errol Spence actually had the fight, as you guys see from this. It was scheduled to happen August 21st, but as I mentioned earlier in this video, an unfortunate eye injury pulled him from the fight. Enter your Dennis Ugas, who stepped in to fill in for Errol Spence, and then now Errol is fighting the winner. This puts Crawford in such a tough predicament that I tried to warn you guys about, and you said I was hating and lying and stuff. Now you guys see. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And really, no one could say anything negative that remotely makes sense. It's Terrence Crawford has 1 belt, coming off a Porter win. Ugas has 1 belt, and he's coming off a Pacquiao win. A Pacquiao win. Pacquiao was eating, he couldn't even eat solid foods, and his wife had to spoon feed him after the Ugas fight. Dominant performance. Crawford stopped Porter, but some people question the stoppage, like if Sean Porter was really, if he could have continued, possibly made it. We'll never know now because it was stopped. But the point I'm making is simple, is at the end of the day, it was, some people question the stoppage, and Ugas defeated Pacquiao in dominant fashion, right? Crawford was in a super competitive fight with Porter, who, if we're being honest, Errol Spence beat in the physical, took his belt in a unification, and now he's going into another unification with another champion off of an eye injury, right? And if we're being honest, Ugas fought Porter, and I've always maintained this. I thought Ugas beat Porter. So you see Crawford, it's just the timing is horrendous. He's getting Porter for Porter's last fight of his whole career after Errol Spence and Ugas in more recent memory had already beaten him, right? And Kell Brook beat him even before that. So that's the version of Sean Porter that Crawford gets. This is the reality. Errol Spence gets to fight Ugas after his best career. Ugas has some losses too, because he used to be signed with Top Rank and they didn't really promote him like that, right? Ugas has since redefined and rejuvenated his career, and he's literally coming off the best performance and the biggest name and the biggest name recognized win of his whole entire career. This is at the spot where Errol Spence. So people always say they want the best versus the best. How can you be mad at Errol fighting an easy fight with a Yordenis Ugas, who clearly is being realistic at the negotiating table and is already aligned with them, so it's an easier fight to facilitate, as opposed to Terrence Crawford, who's demanding 60-40. Crawford on Spence fight. If it ain't 60-40 in my favor, the fight won't happen. So these are the statements from Mr. Terrence Crawford. So why not bypass all of this, which is, in my opinion, not realistic, even though Crawford's a great fighter. Business-wise, his own promoter says he loses money. And all this could be proven. Errol says he lost money, right? This should pull it up. Bob Arum says he lost money on every Terrence Crawford fight. You see that? Bob Arum, quote, Terrence Crawford is not a pay-per-view draw. He's lost money on every fight. So these also aren't working in your favor when your longtime promoter is putting your stats on blast and saying, hey, every time Crawford fights, I lose money. So I told you the Crawford fight more or less wouldn't happen next. Ugas, he's reasonable. He's not losing money on every fight because they're not having to overpay him minimums and stuff like that. His Pacquiao fight actually looked pretty lit crowd-wise too. Says Errol on Terrence Crawford, we lost money on every fight. So once again, like I told you from the beginning, Bud is not in the driver's seat. And his team, they thought the WBA's decision to order the Stanionis fight would somehow push Crawford into the driver's seat to get the Errol Spence fight, none of which came true. You know, the WBA said, forget that. So obviously the WBA didn't say forget that, seeing how the WBA, oh, and that's Crawford too. Crawford says, I'm not fighting Errol Spence for 60-40. But back to the WBA, let's keep the video moving. The WBA, Gilberto Mendoza put this out, and he says everything is patched up, everybody's satisfied, and even though we ordered the Stanionis Ugas fight, he is willing to stand aside. And I just showed you Stanionis's page as well. So it says, so this is the initial one. It says the WBA auction between Ugas and Stanionis. But I just showed you Stanionis says you're welcome. So he's stepping aside. So what does Terrence Crawford do? Please let me know in the comment section what you think will be next for Terrence Crawford. Because as you can see, the WBA says, ooh, eyes, Spence Ugas unification, while Stanionis is fighting Butiev. So that's 4 ranked top welterweights. And if you look at it, if you look at them, 2 of them are champions. The only other remaining champions outside of Bud himself. What does Bud do from here? Like, you know what I mean? Who does he fight? Because PBC also announced Keith Thurman is fighting against Mario Barrios. Boom. So with these things, all these welterweights being tied up, what does Bud Crawford do? And this is why Errol Spence is big fish. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Happy holidays. Subscribe to the channel. And I'm out. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster.